Welcome to the Don't Blink Jiu-Jitsu podcast. I'm your host, Israel Vasquez, and tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special panel of guys joining us. We have, of course, Orin and Dylan are back, but we have a special guest, Envic. Envic, welcome to the Don't Blink Jiu-Jitsu podcast, and it's great having you here. All
Thank
right,
you so
guys. So
much
I
for
wanted
having
to
me, guys.
welcome. I wanted to start out. This is a Belizean-based podcast, so I wanted to start out with highlighting some Belizean MMA fighters that have fought recently. Young guys, young amateur guys fight at Guatemala at the Dream MMA promotion. We had Roque Bo Orellana. It was his second fight. Unfortunately, he lost, but it was a last minute replacement. He did well. He went into the third round. Then we had a young guy, Flaco Shahil, only 19 years old, and he fought versus a Lopez on the 125 division in Dream MMA, and he also lost in the third round. So these are losses, but at the same time, what we like to say in MMA is that these are learning experiences. And I have to commend the guys. These guys train at Orange Rock. They're from War MMA, and they are taking the initiative to go and fight in Guatemala, which, of course, as we know, Guatemala has a little bit higher level. They have been trained for a longer time, but these guys are putting in the work and going and getting that experience. Your thought, guys?
I think it's great that we're covering stuff like this because that's a part of the reason we have this channel. Know that we want to highlight not just MMA in the States, but MMA in Belize. It's a growing sport in Belize, and we have to give our guys as much coverage and feedback and positive vibes as we can, encouragement. Because it's not easy doing what they're doing, especially at the level they are in Belize, where sports isn't as well off as it is in first world countries. So whatever support we can give them, I think it's great. We definitely have to get them on the show and do an interview with them, not because they lost means anything. That's experience gain. So
Definitely.
stay positive. Great.
We will get them on the show. We will get them on the show.
I agree.
And
I
Vic,
think
your thoughts?
highlighting MMA skill in Belize, whether or not they're homegrown or whether or not they're trained outside of the country, is a great thing to at least inspire the next generation of fighters from here in Belize. Win or lose, it's a great experience, and I don't think any of them really feel that bad with a loss because they all know that they did their best.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an important one.
Yes.
Orin, the guy with the fancy background.
Well, as for me, I'm just looking forward to when the situation will be back to normal and I can go and watch MMA in person again. I remember the last time I watched in person was January of 2019 in the Civic. That's like going to be almost 3 years now. So I'm
That's
looking forward to
MMA
doing it again.
events.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Yeah, that was MMA events, Battle in Belize. You're right, that was January 2019. So, yeah, good job, Orin. I can tell you that we're working towards that. Obviously, that's a goal to get MMA going back in Belize, and hopefully, we have some good news. Until then, we have to keep following the circuit, regionally and also in the U.S. because we do have Belizean American fighters. And Albert, the Warrior Morales, was fighting October 30th. Also, that same weekend that the guys fought in Guatemala, Albert Morales was fighting in the Lights Out
Okay.
promotion in California. He was the champion at the 135 division in that promotion. Unfortunately, he lost again, and this is his second loss because he has a loss in Bellator as well. That was in May, I believe. And he went back to the Lights Out promotion, and he was looking forward to defending his title. Unfortunately, as we know, the US has high level MMA, right? And Albert is right there at the top with the professionals. He's been there for a while. He's been doing his trade. He trains out of Black House MMA, a very legit and highly ranked gym. There's not much we can say. Albert Morales is a veteran of the Belize MMA scene, especially in the
Yeah,
United States.
And
definitely.
a really cool guy. A really cool guy.
Yeah,
Really cool guy.
that's good, man. Yeah, he is,
I
and
follow
he
him.
represents Belize
Of
well.
course,
He
yeah.
he comes here, he promotes the country. He shows us off. So we gotta support him and show him some love as well.
Yeah, I follow him on Instagram,
Yeah,
but I wasn't
definitely.
aware of his fight last weekend. Yeah. One other person I would like to promote, Alexa, the Belizean Lioness. She's a young lady, like maybe about 10 years old or something. She participates very often in
Yeah.
wrestling matches and jiu-jitsu matches. Um, she's going to be something big one day. Look out for her in the next 10, 15 years. Remember Alexa, the Belizean Lioness.
Cool.
I know of
Yeah.
another girl.
I
Oh,
know
really?
Alexa. I have trained with her
I
dad.
know, I know. Sorry about that.
Go ahead,
I
Alexa.
know of
Yeah,
another
yeah.
girl
I trained.
who trains. I think she's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu out of Florida. She's a natural born Belizean. Went to high school around the same time I did. I can't remember her name. If I ever get out, I guess I can try and look on Instagram right now, and look for her name, and I can shout it out in the group.
Who is it? A young lady Cruz by the last name Cruz?
No,
You
I
don't
feel like
remember,
her
huh?
first name is Rebecca. I think seems like a Rebecca.
Ah, okay, okay. But I mean, guys,
You see?
there's a whole community out there of Belizean MMA athletes, not only MMA but also in Jiu-Jitsu. As Alexa does Jiu-Jitsu, she does wrestling. You know, she's a young upcoming superstar, if I must say so. And we have to give them that support from Belize. We have to watch them when they fight. We have to watch them when they compete. We have to follow them online and make sure they are known. Because what I like, what you pointed out, Dylan, is that
Yeah,
Albert always represents with the
hmm
flag, right? Wherever he goes, he
of
represents with that
course.
Belizean flag. And man, that means a lot to us, especially to us here in the MMA community because we look up to guys like him that are, putting the Belize name out there,
Envic, you got it?
highlighting it and highlighting
It's
it.
something sharp. I remember the
Go
last
ahead,
name.
Envic.
Hold on. Yes, that's the name.
Oh,
That's the name.
Francesca Sharp.
Francesca Sharp. That's her.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, she's actually Belizean though. I mean, I think she studies in Florida
Hmm.
and trains over there. But Francesca, I know Francesca, she's a part of the MMA and the Jiu-Jitsu
Yeah,
community.
I
So
remember
shout out
seeing
to
some
Francesca
posts
as well.
on Instagram. I was like, I know this girl. Why does the girl look so familiar? It was a friend of a friend. And like, wow, that was pretty cool seeing that.
Would she by chance be granddaughter to Marie Sharp?
I
All
don't
right.
believe so.
No? Okay.
I don't believe so.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
guys, we had a good show yesterday.
All right, guys. So, like I said, yeah, definitely. I was just gonna say I wrap up that Belizean highlights by saying that we look forward to having more of these guys on the show, interviewing them, talking to them about their careers and where they are going and how they plan to represent Belize
Yeah.
MMA, right? But switching gears, yeah, we must talk about the show that happened last night, UFC 268. That was quite a card. And I will start off right off the bat by asking you guys, giving you the hot question. Was it a better pay-per-view than UFC 267, which happened last week, October
I
30th?
don't know. I don't know. It was good. It had a lot of hype, and sometimes for me, when an event has too much hype, it doesn't fly as high as it can. It was a great event. I won't lie. I won't say no, but I can't pick. I like both events. I think Glover, what Glover did made that event special. So it's difficult to say, it was better, but I mean, both events to me were great. We're lucky to have two great events back to back like this.
Might I add, I was the only one voting for Glover winning last weekend.
Wow.
Just so you know.
Yeah, I didn't pick. Yeah, I didn't pick, but yeah, I was
We'll give you
riding with
that.
Glover as well. The guy is an inspiration. Like I'm a fan of the underdog story. So the fact that he at one spell he kind of looked like he was out, like he was on his way out, and he just revamped himself, and he just did what he did, man. It was crazy. It was good. It's inspiring.
I guess one of the biggest questions that comes from
Right.
the
That's
biggest
the
question
story
that
of
comes
MMA.
from last weekend's event is how long do you think Glover will hold the belt?
I hope he fights, defend it once, and retires. Honestly,
That's a legit
that's what I
question.
want from him, and I think that's what he should do. Defend the belt. Defend the belt at least one time. Don't be a Conor McGregor. Defend the belt and then retire, man. There's no reason to continue doing this. I mean, you've achieved what you wanted to achieve. But like I said, you're not really a champ until you defend that belt, and I think he should retire after that. There's no reason to stay in the sport and destroy a legacy that you have, especially one that you've built up like this. Your
I
thoughts?
would even go as far to say,
Well,
uh-huh.
Aaron, Dylan is still
I
high on
am.
UFC 267.
Yeah, but I agree with him totally.
Nah, I was gonna say, Dylan is still high on UFC 267. Are you of the same opinion? 267 was better than
I
268.
think 268 was better. That streak of 6 KOs in 268 was
Yeah.
really good. And that opening fight for the main card,
Ooh,
Yeah,
that edges it for me for 268.
yeah,
that
that's
was
It was
true.
it was fight at
that
night.
was probably the
That
fight
fight
of the
is
night.
weird, because it was super exciting. Then it was also a bit disappointing because I think Geichi could have finished that fight. Like it sucks that the fight was so good but disappointing because it went to the decision. They should have just fought until someone filming.
No, but it was a war.
It was, but
It was a war.
Geichi was very
Yeah, that was.
hesitant, especially at the end. In the end,
Imagine if
he
that fight
was.
was 5 rounds.
Yeah, it would have been
You know,
great
imagine if
if
that fight
it was
was
5 rounds. But to truth be told, they were both tired in the third round. So I don't know.
Yeah, you could imagine there's the fling haymakers.
Yeah,
first round.
definitely.
Right?
And
But I think the criticism of Geichi is something that we've seen recently because like when he first came into the UFC, what he did was just go straight on forward for fights, and he got clipped a couple times. And he almost lost a couple of times. In fact, he lost that way. And so he learned from his mistakes. And again, he has like that incredible coach, Trevor Whitman, behind, and he had to put him back into focus, like you're doing great or whatever. But like we've seen in the last maybe 2 or 3 fights, we've seen him mature as a fighter and realize that you don't have to always go 100% because you put yourself into risks.
Yeah.
And I think right now, his biggest risk is that if he lost, he would have to start his whole title contention all over again. And so I think he wanted to secure a win. And if the knockout was there, I think he would have run for it. I don't think it was there. I think Chandler, he has a very hard head, and he got hit by some crazy shots that anybody else would probably be knocked out by those shots, right?
Yeah.
So I think once he noticed that Chandler can take the hit, he's like, okay, well then let me just pieces out for a decision win.
Well, I get what you're saying, but there is a difference, and I'll give you an example right now. Because you don't have to one punch KO someone, because the way Chandler was in that third round, if Geichi had put together some good combinations, string together some good combination without taking so much breaks in between the striking, he could have finished Chandler like that. But if he did what he did against Stoney, he could have finished Chandler because he was not as active. What I'm referring to is not him going out blazing, going for the one punch KO or something like that. I get it. I love him fighting the way he has been fighting because it's a smarter fighter. I actually hated him when he started because of that fighting style. I don't like that fighting style. And like you rightfully said, he lost a few times. He lost against Eddie Alvarez like that, and I think that Eddie Alvarez fight is the best example. Yeah, he lost against Dustin as well. But the one with Eddie Alvarez was the best example because he was winning that fight. Then he gassed himself out and he just got caught, But him fighting smarter doesn't mean he can't finish it. He can't finish fight. And if he was more active, because Chandler was tired. Chandler blew his wad in that first round trying to finish Geichi, and he was tired. So, stringing together some good shots, Jabs could have done the job. He could have probably finished him if he just was more active.
Oh, I'll give you one thing, Dylan.
So
apparently the last submission.
Hey, but Envic. I was just gonna say that's not the question. The question was, are you
268.
team 268 or 267?
yeah,
Which one was
yeah, definitely.
268. Because once I
You have
start
to put it
revving
on
me
the
up for this,
season
yeah,
guy, right?
I got
268.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm
I would
definitely
go for 268
for
as well,
268.
All right, guys, and then going back, I know you guys love that Geichi versus Chandler fight. I loved it too, but they were great fights right from the beginning, right from the early prelims,
Yeah.
right? We had some awesome stuff with Villante and Barnett. Ian Gary versus Williams. Ian Gary is said to be the next McGregor out of Ireland. Unfortunately, I didn't catch the early prelims, but I know Aaron, Dylan, you guys got it. So, do you?
Well,
take it
I'll
away
tell
and
you this:
give
when
me
it
your
when it
thoughts on the
started,
early
I was a
prelims?
bit worried because the first few fights did finish with decisions, and they were fine. The fights were fine. I won't lie to you. And that Barnett and what's the guy's name again?
John
Villante. Yes, that was an interesting fight because you looked at these two guys and dude, John got huge. He was prepared. He is post retirement. He retired. He has a.
That was his last
Yes,
fight,
that was
right?
his last fight. He said he was retiring. Yeah,
Oh, I
but
thought it was one more.
no. I think that was his last one. But he has that retirement body well in swing because he looks fat. But that was a good fight. Barnett came out dancing. He looked really comfortable. He looked very energetic, and man, that was a beautiful KO. That was a beautiful
You-
KO. Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen his like highlight reels like from his other fights?
I want to look it up now.
He's
After that one last night, that was good.
He fights like a 145er at what 265
Yeah.
basically. I think he weighed in.
And he's messed up
He flies
because he's short.
flies.
He's short and he's fat. He doesn't look that part, but he
very
moves.
athletic.
No, he moves. Like when he came out, if you saw when he came out, he was dancing, and the dude can dance. I was like, what the hell? You look at this guy, and the thing is, he was wearing like he still had his jacket and everything on, right? But I've seen him fight before, and I'm like, you shouldn't be moving like that, man. Like it just doesn't look natural, you know.
Nobody's over 200 pounds supposed to be.
Yeah.
And he said in the post fight conference that mentally he's 170
Yeah.
and he doesn't care what the skill says.
He's good, man. He has good kicks. He's someone to watch. He's a bit short for the division, I'll give you that. But yeah, he made for a fun fight.
What I like about him is his mentality, right? That's
Alright,
a really
we're
good
down to the
mentality.
early
That
prelims.
in his head, he's 170.
Yeah.
But something else I really like about him was his hairstyle. He's going bald at the top of the middle of his head, right? But the little pieces that are left, he put them up into this little
Correct.
samurai.
Yeah.
So that and the front flip to land on his butt the way he did at the end when he finished Villante, just fantastic.
Yeah.
No way you could hate on that guy.
He's fun. Yeah, that fight with Ian Gary, that was an interesting fight. He won.
Any other thoughts
He
on
won,
the
and
early
he
prelims?
won impressively. But honestly, I think Jordan was doing well. I think Jordan was winning that fight. He was definitely tagging Ian. He was doing really well, and he just overreached at the end of the round. It was like 8 seconds or something left, and he swung some really wild punches, and he got caught. So I mean, good job on Ian's part, but it would have been good to see it go to a second round because Jordan was doing very well in my opinion.
I would like to see more from him and Paddy Pimblett as you know, for that matter. The two of them are self-proclaiming themselves as the new guys that are going to take over UFC and MMA. I still have some doubts about them. They, in their UFC debuts, were both caught a little bit too much for my liking. They both finished their fighters, but at least the good thing about them getting caught and finishing their fighters is it shows they can fight through adversity.
Yeah.
But still, I would. If you're saying you're so good and all that, you shouldn't get caught so much. That's my view on it.
Agreed. Yeah, but those were the two best fights at the early prelims. Honestly, like I said, it started off a bit slow in my opinion, and that fight with Barnett and Blanchett definitely, stirred the pot and woke up the excitement in me, because from then it got way better. Correct.
I was just going to say from then that's when the 6 fight TKO or KO streak started, right? With Viante Barnett, Gary Williams, Shabazian in the prelims versus Imavov, who is by all means a hyped up prospect. Everybody's looking forward to him. He's out of France. He finished Shabazian, who is himself or who was
he's in a
prospect,
losing
but he's
streak.
now on, I believe, a 2 or 3 fight losing streak. I started watching at the Haas versus 3 fight Lucas issue. I started watching at the Haas versus Curtis match, and again, Phil Haas was.
I just want to say this about
he
Edmund
got
though. I mean,
KO'd by Chris Curtis,
this is becoming a trend for him. He goes out there and by the second round he looks really tired. In my honest opinion, I think I know I'm gonna say this and some people might get upset, but I think he should be cut from the UFC.
All right, guys. So we're back, and we were discussing the prelims. Versus Imavov and Haas versus Curtis, where the favorites in those fights got finished. Dylan was saying he thinks Shabazian should be retired after a 3 fight losing streak, and that's not entirely out of the realm of possibilities because
It's a cut. No, I think he's a talented kid. Yeah, I think he's talented, but the thing is that sometimes you need to step out of the big show and gain a little bit more experience, get your confidence back, because confidence is a huge thing. So I really think
worked well for Robbie Lawler.
Yeah, it works for
Same
a lot of
example I'm
people.
thinking about.
It works for a lot of people, and the thing is that sometimes
Anthony Johnson.
you're in the UFC, but that doesn't mean that you can't get back to the UFC. And we've seen a lot of fighters. I mean, you guys just mentioned 2 good examples, but there's many more where we've seen guys.
An even better example, Brandon Moreno.
Yeah, see right there, he's a champ. Come on, I mean,
He came back real fast, right?
Yeah, and it's weird because I think he came back on a short notice or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, nevertheless, that's what I think he should do. He's a young kid still, talented kid. Go out, get some wins, train, get better, and come back to the UFC when you're better prepared because you're gonna get cut eventually if you continue fighting like this. So I think it's best for him to go now.
All right, guys,
Maybe
and
after
then
a
there was
release.
that.
You were saying about the fight that you
And I'll
caught.
agree with Dylan on this one. I thought of the Haas versus Curtis fight where Phil Haas was knocked out, and it was early in the second round, right? Or is
The
it,
first round.
or was
The end of the first round.
first round?
Yeah.
Okay, the end
That
of
was
first
crazy
round.
fight
That's what I thought. And
because Haas was he looked really good for like the entire first round and he got caught.
I mean, it happens, even
Yeah.
to the best of them. So, but Phil Haas is
Oh
still a
yeah.
great talent. Curtis is upcoming talent. So we saw some very good guys in that prelim. But now I want to move on to the next fight, which I know Dylan has some strong opinions about. Quinta versus Bobby Green. That
It
was a good
was
fight too. For the while that it lasted, but what I saw was a very sharp Bobby Green, right? And he was using his striking to keep Quinta at range until he could land that beautiful one of the best 1-2s I've seen. And I don't know if Quinta has been finished before, but Bobby Green managed to do that yesterday night. Your thought, guys?
go ahead, Envic. I want to hear your opinion on this one.
My
Yeah, let's put in
my
the
I'll
opinion is
save
gonna
my
be
opinion for
very
later.
my opinion is gonna be very, very limited because I didn't see the fight. I just know that
Oh,
Quinta lost.
okay.
Yeah,
Well, Oren then.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I watched it and I picked Quinta to win. I thought he would have had the better fundamentals, but he was fighting a little bit too aggressively. Because what helped Green to KO him was that he got caught with a shot. Same time he was rushing in,
Hmm.
and because as Dana White pointed out in the post-fight press conference, Green was squared up when he threw the left hand jab and the right hand straight across. So it wasn't something with all that much power.
Yeah.
So part of it that helped him
He
to
leaned
get the
into
KO
it.
was Quinta going in at the same time, right?
Mm.
Well,
So I think the over aggressiveness of Quinta was what did him in.
got you. I got two things to say. First of all, what I took from what you said just now was it's your fault that Al actually lost because you picked him.
Yeah, the Castillo curse in full effect now.
Castillo curse. No, but well, it goes.
So whenever, for those
Yeah.
don't know the Castillo curse, whenever Orin picks, the other person
Yeah.
loses.
No, but
right?
my second thing was it goes back to exactly what Izzy was saying. But Israel said, that the jab was catching him, and Al was getting frustrated because, Al had a lot to say before this fight, and Bobby looked great, and Bobby was doing everything he needed to do, and I think it frustrated the hell out of Al, and it made him rush in, and he got caught, man, and it is what it is. But again, one thing to note, I think Al didn't fight for like 2 years. He was out for a
No.
while.
Was he?
Yeah, he was out for a
That's a
while.
good point. Yeah,
So you look at that, and I think that plays a lot in it as well.
being a real
I
estate
think that's what they
agent,
said. It was
right?
like 2 years since his last fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't
I will
remember
come
that
back to
one.
Al in a little bit.
You're right. 2019. Wow.
Yeah.
I
that
keep
guy
forget
was.
that 2020 happened. Sometimes
Dude,
it's just
yeah.
like
Listen, that guy was pre-pandemic, dude. That's how long he hasn't fought. That was pre-pandemic fights. No, but I'll come back to Al
And
afterwards.
UFC guys, and well, not. Yeah, I was just gonna say to end with that fight that MMA is a sport where you need to stay active. MMA is a sport for the
Active,
guys
yeah.
that are 100% into it, and I don't know if Al was entirely committed to it, being that he has moved on per se, and he is now in the real estate business. But again, we'll come back to that, guys. I want to talk about that fight. Alex Pereira versus Michiliadis. Correct me if I'm saying it wrong. He's from Greece, and this is a classic striker versus wrestler versus grappler fight. Everybody was excited about Alex Pereira because for those that don't know, Alex Pereira is the last guy to beat
KO.
Israel Adesanya in Glory
Yeah.
Kickboxing, right? By KO, right? So there was a lot expected from him, and boy, did he deliver, right?
Yeah, he did. The best part of that was what was one of the things you said just now. He has 4 fights so far in MMA. He is 3-1. He was 3-1, and the thing is that he's a kickboxing guy. He's a great kickboxing guy. And one of the big questions you're always asked, okay, so how's the ground game? And we got to see that yesterday. We got to see him wrestle. They took him down. He got back up. I mean, he defended well. He looks good. I mean, and one of the best parts of that is that I think leads to him being so good in MMA is he trains with Glover. Yeah, so Glover was there
Yeah,
last
they're
night.
both excellent.
So I
Yeah.
mean, he has a great training partner. He has a well
Ah,
experienced training partner.
I
So I mean,
remember him.
it looks good. It looks good so far because he answered a lot of questions. It wasn't just like they gave him some guy who's gonna stand up with him and get knocked out, you know. So he was tested for sure last night. Now, is the guy the best wrestler in the world? I'm sure he's not, you know. But I mean, we got to see someone who's more experienced, more probably trained more in the different aspects of MMA, and he did what he needed to do. And we still saw Pereira did his thing. You know, he won by a beautiful flying knee.
Yep.
That was a freaking awesome finish. I won't lie to you.
Aaron, your thoughts?
Um, I didn't make a pick on that fight because I didn't know who either of them was. It wasn't until the fight was about to begin that Joe Rogan mentioned how hyped he was for him making his way to the UFC. And then I realized, oh, that's the guy who last KO'd Adesanya
Correct.
before Adesanya started his MMA career. And then I looked at him and I agree with everything that Dylan said. You know, in the first round, he got taken down. You know, he faced that adversity, overcame it, and early in the second round, stopped the guy with a flying knee. You know, you can't ask for much more than that.
Yep.
It's a beautiful flying knee. Yep. And Vic, any thoughts
Yeah,
on
it
that
was.
fight? I know you didn't catch the prelims. You said you started watching the main card.
Mm,
But any thoughts
yeah,
on
I
that?
watched Minka, but Alex, I remember. I believe Glover had brought him in to simulate. Is the word simulate
Yeah.
Right, that's right.
Gustafsson when Glover was fighting Gustafsson for the reach and the height
Yeah, the
and
fight.
whatnot, right?
Yeah. Good example.
And
Good
so
partner.
yeah, so and then I remember seeing on Twitter that they were saying that the middleweight division better wake up or whatever because there's
Yeah.
a new whatever in town or whatnot. I haven't heard or seen any comment from Israel yet, so I want to see what he. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like when they saw signed Todd Duffy. I think it's Todd Duffy when the last guy before Khabib or whatever. I mean, before Nate, the last guy to beat Conor McGregor, he kind of
Yeah.
has that feeling. And I don't know if maybe we're believing the hype train just a little bit too much, but I would hope that we don't go the same route as Todd Duffy because I think he's cut now, if I'm not
Yeah. I think
mistaken,
so.
Dylan. I
I
think he's
believe
cut,
so.
right? He didn't really make it that far. I think he may have broke the top 15, but I don't think he made it past top 10. So I don't know. Maybe we had somebody else from Glory, Gokhan. I don't remember if you remember that kickboxer guy that came in from the
Yeah.
heavyweight.
I believe
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Saki? Yep.
Where'd he go? He had one fight and then
Yeah.
he won and then he's gone. Right. So I don't know. But
He
I
was
don't know the
cut. He was
circumstances
cut as
behind that.
well.
But I mean, I think I'd want to wait for a couple more of his fights before I actually hold an opinion about the guy because
I
we have
agree.
one. We have
Hmm.
one in the UFC, and we all know that the UFC is like the pinnacle of the MMA, right?
Yeah.
Although they have you have some real monsters in like Bellator and PFL and stuff, I still
Yeah.
think that the UFC is one of the if not the highest,
Yeah.
one of the higher places to be when it comes to the sport. So I think I'd wait a little while longer before calling him like the next middleweight champion or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree because the thing is that I agree with everything you said about the UFC, but UFC also have a tendency to give guys that fight that they expect them to win or they look really good in, you know, especially for their first fight.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's that. I don't think so because the guy did, like I said, he went out there, he wrestled, he got the takedown and everything, and we got to see levels to his game. I mean, I'm not saying anything for him. No, I think he's training with some good people. He's training with the champ. He has excellent stand up. That's his background. No, once he can work on that ground game, he should be good. You know,
And
I'm
that's
thinking
exactly
right
what I
now.
want to see. That's
Yeah,
exactly what I want to see. I want to see he go against a really high level wrestler and see how he fares against that.
I'm thinking
See if he
middleweight.
passes the Victoria test.
Yeah, middleweight. Who's a great wrestler at middleweight
I
that
know
we
one.
can tie? Whom?
Marvin Vettori.
No,
Nah,
I
Marvin
know,
Torres.
I know one that you want to retire real bad.
Who's that? What? What? Peg leg right man? Come on! Come on! Oh my god!
Yeah.
Can we move on? That was a good laugh. That was a good laugh. Oh,
Wyman would get torn up by that guy indeed, yeah.
yeah.
All right, guys. So moving on from this, we're gonna go to back to the main we're going back to main card. You guys had already started discussing
Correct. Yeah.
the fight of the night. Really, it was Geichi versus Chandler. Was by all means a great fight. Whether there was a KO or not, I think it was a great fight. I think that if it had gone 5 rounds, we would have seen a lot more of the
Yeah.
same. I mean, Chandler was busted up. If you saw him at the end of that third round, everybody that fights Justin Gaethje comes out looking like Halloween just happened, right? So Justin Gaethje is my favorite fighter, guys. If I ever step into that MMA ring, he's the one guy I want to emulate. I don't know if I can possibly. I mean, he's superhuman.
Yeah.
Those guys are superhuman with that kind of output that they dish out, right? But he's one of my favorite fighters, if not the favorite, right? But
Yeah.
Gaethje versus
I'll
Chandler.
say one more
I
thing
think
on that.
we deserved 5
I would
rounds.
want to
Yeah,
see that
I'll
fight.
say one more thing on that
I know
though.
you guys are
I've actually gained more respect for Chandler after that fight because I really wasn't checking for the guy before. I mean, he was okay, and it's not entirely his fault. He really came in on a silver platter. Dana brought him in with all these special privileges. Him being the replacement for the
Alternate.
yes, Dana correct, the alternate for the fight before he even had a UFC
Dana
fight.
White privilege.
And so he kind of came in like the spoiled brat. And but after
Privilege.
last night, after last night, he gained some respect for sure. He deserves it.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I liked was that he was moving forward, right? He was looking to engage. He wasn't looking to back off, to wrestle. I mean, they have some little aspects of wrestling, but for the most part, it was a stand-up war. It was a stand-up battle. I mean, he got rocked.
It was a good fight.
Gaethje got rocked in the
Have you
first
seen
round
Michael
as well.
Chandler's fight in Bellator?
Man,
I've seen a couple.
I don't know.
I've seen a couple of them,
I
and he
don't have it.
rushes.
Yes. Blitz.
Yeah,
I think
he
that's the word he likes to
blitzes.
use.
I
Is
saw
he
some of
blitz.
them.
Yeah, and he starches guys real quick in the first round, second round.
Man,
But but I think like I was saying earlier that we probably needed a 5 round war
Yeah.
so that he could
Yeah.
like spread out, I guess, his momentum within the whole 5 round fight and be a little bit smarter. And so we have a proper war. But I mean, even at the end of towards the end of the third round, he was being hit, but he kept moving forward.
yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
You know what's a messed up? I don't know.
No,
Was that the fight,
yeah.
of the year?
If not the fight of the year, it's
Or at
probably a
least a
contender
candidate
for
for
fight of
fight
the
It
year.
should be contender. Yeah. But
A candidate, I would say so.
yeah, for
I mean,
sure,
we've
for
had some
sure.
great fights this year.
But I was gonna say
those
what's
right
really
up there
messed
for
up
me.
is that fight was so good that we had an equally impressive fight after that, but it so overshadowed it because that fight with Burgos and Billy, that was a good fight. That was a very good stand-up fight. It had
Yeah.
similar trend. It trended similarly to what the first fight did, the one with Geichi. But I think that fight with Geichi was like I don't know why they started the show with that card, man. I mean,
I
it
think they
started
switched
off-
the fight, right?
yeah. That was supposed to be just before the championship fights, and they switched it up last minute and made that the first fight. I'm like, I don't know why you did that because you're just gonna start the show on a bang, yeah, but then you could have messed things
Could've
up
go down.
with
Yeah.
a lull, and
Yeah, it
it
would
messed,
have a lull.
like I said, it's kind of messed up because if that Shane Burgos fight happened before, I think it'd have gotten way more hype. But it was a good
so.
fight. It was a really good fight.
The official reason they gave for that was
What is it?
because it's the same coach, Trevor Whitman,
It was a
that
good
have
fight, but I
gone
thought
back
that-
to back to back.
Ah, I see.
I thought it
Yeah,
was just
cool.
more to like put more people in the seats for the beginning of the fight card. I think Joe Rogan
Well,
had said that.
they did that.
Yeah, because it was
Could have
packed.
been. It could have been.
It was packed. It was packed.
But what was your opinion?
Yeah, cause
Me?
it was back. Yeah, it was back. Yeah, just on the Burgos and Quarantino fight.
You guys already said everything I wanted to say about that. Basically,
But it's back.
the only thing else I would add is I don't like how Americans mispronounce Hispanic names. Quarantillo, that's how they say the guy's name every time. They can't say Quarantillo,
What?
you know?
Say it here.
Jose.
But it's actually pronounced Jose. It's not
Jose.
Spanish. Yeah, but it's actually pronounced Jose.
Jose Aldo.
It's not Spanish.
Really? Not okay.
I get you.
No, I'm just saying that it's Portuguese, so it's not pronounced the same way as the Spanish.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
For Jose Aldo, all
Correct.
right, okay.
Correct. But yeah, man, I mean, I think it was a good fight. I think it was a good fight.
All right, guys, going back to the main card. Going back to the main card.
It was competitive.
Edgar
Yes.
versus Vera.
Until the end.
That was to me a good fight too. It was competitive. It was more competitive than I thought it would be. Edgar came out strong. You know,
Retire.
before the fight, I think Dylan was saying, if Edgar loses this fight badly, he needs to retire, right? The usual thing that Dylan says, which is fine. I mean, Edgar is a guy that is up there. He's been fighting since, you know I, probably since before I started watching UFC. And Vera is a guy that's coming up, very hungry, talented, and he proved the doubters wrong last night. And I saw a very improved Vera who came on strong in rounds two and round three, and it was probably 1-1. Edgar won first round. Vera probably won the second round. So Vera needed to win that third round, but he didn't sit back. He went for the KO and he finished the fight. So I like that, and I like how he put himself out
You
there
guys
My
and
go
showed
thing
the
ahead.
fight
I'll go
was good.
last for this one.
All right. My thing about Edgar is that I think he should retire. It's not
What?
that he hasn't
It's
lost
my
a
line.
step, right?
Right.
I agree with you, but let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Right? He still has the footstep. He still has the speed. He can still compete.
They just have
But
the
the reason I
power.
think he should retire is that his chin isn't there anymore. When he fought Gray Maynard, he had a legendary chin, but his chin has been crap now. He's been finished 3 times recently by Vera, most recently by Korean Zombie, and the first guy to do it, Brian Ortega. Since Ortega did it, he's been losing by KO in devastating fashion. For that reason, right, because his chin isn't there anymore. For that reason, I think he should retire.
I want to say one thing, y'all. You missed Corey Sanhagen.
Yeah, the last fight.
Oh, Sakurai!
I
So
know.
that's 4 brutal KOs.
But I want to add something to that. And I'm sorry, Envic. I know I said I would go last, but I just need to add one thing to this. A part of why I want him to retire is all of what you said. But I think apart from the jaw not being there anymore, I think his cardio isn't where it used to be. And I think we saw that last night.
No,
That's the
I never
thing.
said that.
No, 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 no. You look
I never
third
said
round. He looked tired last night.
because he was
The
getting
third,
hit.
yeah, he was
If
getting
you
hit.
get
But
hit, if you get hit, you will look tired.
did you see the Green Maynard fight? He got destroyed in the first round and then came back and won.
That's a
My
20
thing
pound
is that
different weight class,
yes,
buddy.
I know, but that doesn't matter because he was fighting at a normal weight. I mean, him fighting at 135 is more naturally than him fighting at 155. Trust me.
Yeah.
But I don't think his cardio is where it used to be. I mean, the guy is getting old. He's been in some wars, so I think a lot of what has happened to him is his cardio is not. I'm not saying he has bad cardio. I'm just saying it's not what it used to be, and I think that used to be his lifeline. That miraculous cardio that he had, that pace that he could put on people. That's what used to starch people. That's what used to. I mean, you could fight him and you could get tired. I mean, we saw what Gray Maynard did to him. Basically, punched himself out in the first round, almost killed that guy, and he came back and won the fight. He doesn't have that anymore. And it's dangerous because he's getting brutally finished. So that's where it's getting scary. Get out, man. You don't need to prove it to anyone else. You were the champ. You defended your belt. You fought in this is the third weight class. Just stop. You're on your way to being the next BJ Penn. Stop.
I was just gonna say he beat an all-time great in BJ
Yes,
Penn.
he did. I mean, BJ Penn is one of my favorite fighters. But from back in the day, I had BJ Penn and Randy Couture. That's where I started. And he beat BJ twice. And he 3 times actually, and he looked great for a good while, and he looked great up until a few years ago. But now he's getting destroyed, and it's sad. It's always sad seeing a fighter like that become what they are now. So it's just that, man.
And we're back with the Don't Blink Jiu-Jitsu podcast where we're talking about the UFC 268 main card. And guys, what a fight. Namajunas versus Weili, Zhang Weili. Unfortunately, I didn't, like I mentioned to you guys, I wasn't able to catch the entire match because I was switching back and forth between that and the boxing fight. I was watching with my dad, and my dad is a long-time boxing aficionado. So I had to kind of like be switching back and forth and watching. But what I did see, I saw a good fight. There were aspects going on in the first 3 rounds that seemed like Wei Li was dominating the fight, but then later on, Namajunas came on strong, and I saw in the last round she practically controlled that round on the ground. Right? Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts,
Orin, take
guys?
it
I
away.
guess. Yeah, let's start with Orin.
In my opinion, yeah, I think Zhang Weili, she won the first 3 rounds and then Rose won the last two. What I think is probably a problem is the UFC using boxing judges to judge MMA matches. I don't think that's a good practice at all. I've seen them do it before, and whenever there were questionable decisions, I looked and I saw that it was the boxing judge who had it really out of the way wrong, you know? So
Was
I think
only
that's
one of
something.
them? Was it only one of them that was a boxing judge,
I'm
or
not
all of
sure
them?
exactly last night. I'm not sure
Because
exactly.
technically, I don't believe it's the UFC's discretion who gets to judge. It's the Athletic State Commission of that
Yeah.
state. They're the ones that hire the judges, the referees, and everything. So I don't think the UFC has a say in that.
That's correct,
Well,
but
they
I
should
do
lobby more
believe
for
there are
it then.
cases where they, well, at least with the referees, I know they can request certain referees for certain matches. I don't know if you guys remember where John Jones requested one time
No
to
more
fight
Mario
the,
Yamasaki or something like that.
yeah, it was Harp Dean or Yamasa. I don't
I think
remember.
it's
But one of,
Yamasaki. Yeah, I think
okay,
everybody loves
yeah,
Dean.
but
No, no, no. I think
I'm not entirely sure about the judges. I don't know if they can, select or request any judges. But you're right, Aaron. We've seen a lot of bad decisions when it comes with boxing coaches, and everybody was up in the air with this match. People were saying that it's a lot closer than what the scorecards were saying, right? So that was the issue there. Consensus is that Zhang Weili was winning the first few rounds. Envic, do you agree?
Actually, I went back and looked at the chat, the live chat that I had with the we guys are in, and I was saying round one, Whaley, round two, Whaley, round three, Whaley, and thinking about it now, yeah, majority of the time it was Whaley the 3 rounds. So I think, I've heard arguments that I think it was round two that was like
Up
it
in the
could
air?
go either way. So,
Yeah,
and again, listening to the commentary is a little biased or whatever, but heading into the fifth, they were all saying that it could go either way. So,
yeah, yeah.
securing round five would have been the one to secure whoever the win.
And Dylan, that's what you, sorry not to cut you off, Envic, but Dylan,
Mhm.
before you get started, I was just going to say that's one important thing to keep in mind is that split decisions as normal or like close decisions tend to go either way, depending on
yeah.
especially split rounds that are very close. It can go either way, especially when it's a commission like we had last
No,
night,
no. I agree. And the thing
the
is,
New York commission.
yeah, it's hard because I mean, watching the fight, and I was very attentive to the fight, and the thing that threw me off, I'm being completely honest, is that if things had gone slightly different, Whaley would have, in my opinion, won all 4 rounds because Whaley was doing good in the fourth round. It was fine. And then she went for this takedown where she got the back and then Rose reversed it. And that's what won the round for Rose. Because it was Whaley actually initiated the wrestling. And she took the back and got mounted in the third round. And I think she was trying for the same thing, but this time Rose reversed it on her. And I guess from there, Rose figured, well, I'm just going to wrestle and keep her down for the fifth round.
And
You
that's
know?
what she did in the
So that's
fifth
what she
round.
did.
Yeah.
But the thing is, to me, Whaley was doing a way better job than Rose was the entire fight. I mean, that second round, I hear people talking about it. And the only reason they're even talking that Rose could have won that fight was because Rose ended the round
On
on
top.
top. It was 10 seconds that she went and got a takedown. And she did absolutely nothing with it. She just lay there for like 10 seconds on top of Willie. Willie had ground control in that round as well. And Willie rocked her in that
Wasn't
round.
that the round?
Rocked her.
Wasn't that the round that they were doing like a whole lot of different scrambling or whatever? And like, whoa,
Yes, it was. Whaley was they were down on the ground and Whaley was on top for longer than the 10 seconds that Rose was on top. And Whaley rocked Rose in that second round.
did she?
She was yes, she was. She was visibly rocked. She was wobbly. But the thing is, Whaley was a bit hesitant last night, if you guys noticed. She looked like she was scared of getting knocked out again. So she
Yeah.
did not press the
Because
action.
she was knocked out,
Yeah, she didn't
and
press the action.
that tends to happen.
But if you go back and
That
watch that
tends to
second
happen.
round, I'm telling you, it was like middle of the round. She got caught with some really good striking, and she looked really wobbly. So Willie could have pressed the action there and tried for more, but I think what she did was she got the takedown. I think the grappling started after that, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean that's my opinion. Judges are judges. I want to point out one more thing with the judges though. They were saying last night that 2 out of 3 judges last night were from No, sorry, scrap that. Total different fight I'm thinking about.
Time
All
for you
right,
to
you
retire.
guys go ahead.
Any further thought?
Yeah, true. I get sleepy.
Any further thoughts on that fight, or are we good there?
Um,
Good.
Yeah, I think we're good.
I don't see any improvement by Thug Rose. I didn't see anything spectacular. Um, I think I don't know if she's plateaued. Um,
I think
I,
I just think she's not that good. I've never thought she was that good. I don't like Rose at all.
Oh, come
no,
on.
I don't. I
you
don't.
can't say that. No,
Honestly,
you can't
I'll
say
be
that. No,
honest with
She
you.
beat
she beat
Joanna.
She
Joanna
did.
and
She did.
Weili.
Beat Weili.
She did. But here's the thing. Let me tell you this. The thing is she's good. Her stand up is pretty good. But I think one of the reasons they don't want to put her against what's the girl's name? Carla?
Carla
Carla
Yes,
Esparza.
because I think Carla will beat her. The wrestling that she's putting up and the way she's been
again.
fighting, she's gonna beat Rose
Carla beat her
again.
before.
Again. I'm telling you, she's gonna beat Rose again.
Carla beat yeah.
Her ground game is just
I
not
don't
there.
know.
That's
I
the
don't
fight to
know.
make.
I
Yeah,
don't
it
know.
is the
I,
fight to
That's
make
the fight to
next.
make in that
But
division.
I mean, we saw Weili took her down last night. Weili's just been training boxing a few months, and Carla's been doing it way longer. So I'm telling you, if they fight, she's gonna ground and pound the hell out of that girl, and she's probably yeah. It's just a fact. Again,
well, I was saying earlier that I don't believe I've seen much improvement over the last couple of fights with Rose Namajunas. I don't really see that much improvement. I don't know if that's because of the type of competition that she's been fighting, but since her last fight against Carla Esparza, there's a incredible improvement that
Has
we've
to be.
seen.
yes.
Because at first she was known she was the one that for Invicta I think they were showing the flying armbar. I don't know if you guys remember that. Like that was one of the highlights for Invicta or whatever, and that was Rose. And so we knew her to be a submission specialist, never really
A
a
striker per
knockout
se.
until we start seeing like the head kicks against Michelle Watson or the knockouts against Joanna twice. All right, so I think we underestimate her ground game simply because if we take last night as example, did you see all the scrambles? It
Yeah.
takes two to dance. It takes two to dance, right? So one, I commend Weili much more than I commend Rose for her improvement in the ground game, because we didn't see much of that in the 4 or 5 fights that she's had in the UFC. Most of them have just been kickboxing fights.
For
So that improvement in the ground game, training with
Triple C.
Triple C, yeah. What's his name again?
Henry
Henry
Cejudo.
Cejudo.
Henry Cejudo.
Henry
Yeah,
Cejudo.
Henry Cejudo. Yeah, training with him, and I remember seeing who else? It was Henry. There were like a couple guys. There were a couple
Figueredo.
guys. Figueredo, yes,
Figueredo.
yes, right. And those guys are total beasts. So iron sharp. Iron sharpens
Iron
iron.
sharpens iron. Yep.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron. So I see great improvement in Weili. I just don't see that
Rose.
in Rose. But talking to Carla has been the exact same thing, a one trick pony with wrestling, taking you down, ground and pound, ground and pound, ground and pound, and she's been doing that really well against strikers. We haven't really seen that that much against grapplers. Who was her last fight? Was it Maya?
I don't
Jennifer Maya.
recall. Let me look that up. But
Jennifer Maya, I think. But I think like almost all of her last couple of wins have been through strikers. And so wrestlers or grapplers usually cut through strikers like a hot knife through butter. So I just don't see the improvement in Carla to beat Rose.
well, I disagree because I feel like she fights. No, I've seen improvement in her because before she was very much I'll take you down, I'll hold you down, I'll win the decision. She fights more aggressive. Her stand up has gotten better, where she uses the stand up as a method to get the takedowns, not just trying to get a takedown. And when she goes and gets the takedown, she goes for the finish. She has vicious ground and pound. She's small, but she's like a little gremlin. I won't lie to you.
You're talking
When she
about
gets
Carla.
you there, yeah, she.
And you guys met her when she was here?
Okay.
I did not. We were trying to set up a meeting. We didn't get a chance to meet. Did you meet her?
Me no.
Okay.
Esparza.
No, but like
Trying
I'm
to
saying,
find-
I do believe that she's improved. But the thing is, she's improved on that game. And the thing is, wrestling is one of those things where if you are great at it in the UFC and MMA, it's one of the best areas to be because I mean, you look at
Wrestling, yeah.
yeah, you look at Khabib. Has Khabib improved?
Khabib.
Khabib has improved, but it dwarfs what he does with wrestling. Nothing that he does will ever match or be equal to what he does with the wrestling because the wrestling is just damn good. And that's the thing at Carla. Carla is wrestling is really good. So although she has better stand up, and she does look way better than she did before, and even the ground game has improved. So I think me personally, I'll say it, and I'm putting out the pick. If they fight, I'm picking Carla.
I just look at her record, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just look at her record, at Carla Esparza's record. Her last loss is against Tatiana Suarez.
Sorry, switch it.
And then it's decision, TKO against Xiaonan Yan, which I don't remember ever seeing the fight. That was May of this year. But I mean, that's all right. The other names: Marina Rodriguez, Michelle Warson, Alexa Grasso, and whoever is Verna Yan Diroba, right? So I don't know. Yes, she's amassed a great win streak against, I would say, at least 3 really top level fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Pero I don't know. I just can't see her fighting or beating someone. All right. You want a number 1 contender fighter and not do an immediate rematch, because usually fights that are this close between Weili and Rose, they usually go for immediate rematches, right?
But this was a rematch, immediate rematch.
Yeah, and it's even closer than this time. Last time it was finished.
I
So
know.
there's a difference there.
Yeah,
There's a difference there. So what I would say is a number 1 contender fight between Carla Esparza and Weili.
Why? Carla's done enough to have a title fight. She deserves it, and she's beaten Rose. Let's not forget that. I mean, that should be enough
Let me
argument.
see. Let me see how long ago that was.
Yeah, it was a while ago, but it doesn't matter. It was from 2014, December 12, 2014.
Yeah.
It was a while ago, but
It was
she
on top,
already
right?
beat Rose. My point is that you have a win over the champ. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins in a row in the division, and she's ranked top 3, if I'm not mistaken.
I think, yeah.
So I mean, to me, there's no ifs. Like, listen, she's not number 2. I don't like immediate rematches because you have the
It
fighter.
holds up the entire division.
Yes, but apart from that, like last night, perfect example of Weili. Weili looked great, but we all said it. She looked hesitant. It's in her mind still. I just got knocked out by this girl. You need to go out, get a win, get over that. There's a mental part of the game that I don't like immediate rematches for that reason, because you have that, like, your last memory in the octagon was fighting this person and I got knocked out by this person. It's still there, and we could see that last night, because as good as Weili looked, I believe that mentally, if she didn't have that handicap, she could have looked better. It held her back, and I think we all said that and we all agreed on that. So
Guys, I really hate to have to.
no, I agree. We have to move
I
on.
have to cut you guys off. I really hate to do that, but we have a great main event to talk about, and that's what I want
Sure.
to move on. Usman was at Covington. It was a rematch
Yes.
as well, right? Just to point out, but it was a great fight. I think we saw a different aspect from the first fight, because Covington started off really cautious, laying back, not forward pressure as he's known to do. He was looking for a counter shot.
Correct.
He got rocked really bad in round
Twice.
2, but
He got dropped
he
twice.
really
Yes, he got
impressed me,
dropped
and I
twice.
think he won twice. You're right, twice. Yeah, he was almost finished, right? He really impressed me because he was able to manage, that scenario there where he got knocked down. He was able to manage. He got to the bell. He came back, and guess what, guys? He came back even stronger, even rocking
Usman, yeah.
the champion Usman
Correct,
in
correct.
round 4, right? And it was right at the bell where he was rocked, and it was a great fight. Round 5 was more back and forth, but still, again, you could see that Covington did not give up on himself, and he has a people hate on the guy because of his persona,
Correct.
but he's a great fighter, and that's what he showed last night.
That's the thing. That's one of the things that I can't stand about him the most, because he's so talented. And what we saw last night, you have to respect the guy for that. This is one of the things. It's kind of like Connor, where I can respect you for something, but not respect you for something else. Like, I don't respect the persona and the crap that he does. I think it's unneeded because he's so talented. But as a fighter, he's damn good. We saw last night something from him. Like you said, he got rocked, and he came out even better. It shows he's a smart fighter. He found holes in Usman's game. And because he was landing, I think it was an uppercut, and every time he threw the uppercut, it was landing. So he was able to see that hole and time Usman when he was coming in with that uppercut, and he did good damage with that uppercut because, like you said, he rocked Usman I think a couple times. I mean, it wasn't as bad as he got rocked, but he did stop him. He did hurt him. So yeah, I mean, the thing is, the guy is a tremendous fighter, and again, mad respect for him after that fight. But yeah, the persona is not needed, man. Really isn't.
I think he's the only one to take Usman to a
Correct.
decision in recent times, right? Because Usman has been KOing or TKOing people right off the bat. I mean, he TKO'd Jorge
KO'd
Masvidal,
Masvidal.
right? I would
Yeah,
say a better KO, a better
yeah,
striker than Covington probably. But Covington showed us that
yeah,
he has
yeah,
a
yeah.
strong will and he went to the third
Yeah, I'm
round.
here.
Envic, are you there?
Thoughts?
Envic,
I think no.
your
I
thoughts on
got a
that
message just now.
main event?
I think he was hesitant because, like you guys said, at the end of the fourth round, he had the champion rocked with an uppercut, and I think we saw him landing that a couple times
Yes.
earlier in the fight, and I don't know, like he didn't follow it up. I think if he had followed it up with something else at the end of each of those uppercut, I think he probably could have caught him because each time he caught the champion, it was like wide open.
Yeah. Well, he
The
did follow
uppercut
up. I
was
think he
there.
did follow up a few times because there were some good combinations he landed. I don't think it was a situation where it just one punch. I think he genuinely did well, but Usman is strong, man.
Yeah, I guess not to knock on the champion himself.
Oren, your thoughts on that
I
main
think it was
event?
a good fight, just not as
Go
No,
ahead, Envic.
I'm good.
Sorry.
I'm good.
yeah. I think it was a good main event fight, just not as good
All right.
as the
Sorry,
first
Oren.
one.
Go ahead.
I think there was more action in the first one. It was definitely more back and forth. This one, both of the guys were a little bit more tentative because they were in there with each other before, so they knew what each other were was capable of. So it was still a good fight, good back and forth. But as you guys pointed out already, the pace wasn't put on by Colby because he knew he had to be more,
As
cautious.
usual, yeah.
Cautious.
It's crazy, right? Because I agree what you're saying, but at the same time, both of their striking looks way better than the first fight.
Yeah.
It's more crisp. Usman, especially, you can see. I mean, Kobe has had decent stand up, but Usman's stand up was a bit sloppier in the past, and his crisp, his punching is way crisper now, and it looks way better. But I mean, I fully agree with you. I feel like the first fight there were more
There was more
action. There were
action.
more, yeah,
There was a lull in the second round right before
yes.
Kobe was knocked down twice. That well, I was on my bed. It was after 11. I was
They were falling
whoa,
asleep. Yeah,
whoa, yeah. So yeah, the pace wasn't really there to really waken me
yeah.
up to watch. You have some main events, some title fights where I'm on the edge of my seat. My heart is pounding. I'm like, yo, I don't know what's gonna happen. Last night I didn't feel it.
Yeah, kind of like Glover and John.
Yeah, I think my
Yes.
heart was there. My heart was there that I wanted Glover to
Yeah.
win, but I did I
It was more.
expected it to go the other way around,
Yeah,
maybe with a knockout.
I think that was an exciting fight. But yeah. So Izzy, what's your thoughts? I want to hear what you think about that fight.
Mike, thank you. I was gonna end that off by saying that I think the real MVP is the coach Trevor Whitman. He had three fighters on that main card, three fighters winning.
Hat trick.
Even though Namajunas didn't win decisively, right? He scored his hat trick on that main card. Geichi versus Chandler, Namajunas versus Zhang, and of course Usman versus Covington. So I think he's a real MVP and stand out for Coach of the Year, if not the Coach of the Year. So Trevor Whitman, as we all know, is also one of the brightest minds in the MMA game.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I think he was he had a great night. What else can you really say?
Mhm.
He had three of his fighters. He had two of his fighters win, and one was given a victory. But yeah, he had a good night.
One was given a victory now.
Yeah, he was.
Well, you see what happens is, yeah, you see what happened is that you can see the changes that he's made to these fighters, right? And even though they might not be the completely finished product,
Yeah,
you can
no,
see that they have
I'll give you
developed
that because I'm
some
telling you,
fighters,
I think I mentioned it earlier. between two of the rounds, Rose looked like she was about to cry, and that's one of my issues with Rose because I feel like Rose
Which one?
between I think it was round 2 and 3 or either 2 and 3 or 3 and 4. She went back to the
Really?
stool and her eyes looked like she was about to cry. Like she mentally wasn't there, and the coach side as well because he mentioned he told her something like whatever it is, just like wrap it up and we'll deal with it later or whatever, and that's a great thing because he obviously knows her and he coached her not just on the fight what was happening there but
Want to
what was
bring it back
happening in
into
her head,
focus? Yeah.
and that's one of the things with her. I think she's mentally weak, and that's a scary thing. But he did a great job getting her through that fight and getting her through that round because after I think it was the third round, I can't remember, but she had a better round afterwards, and I remember she went from like I said, looking like she wanted to cry to smiling, and it was like a completely different thing. And the coach was 100% the reason of it because he got her back to where she needed to be. So yeah, hats off to him.
Great insight.
Yes.
That's what a great coach does, right? All right, guys. To wrap up, that was UFC 268, an awesome main event. Um, your final parting thoughts. Let's take it with Envic. He's the guest
Final
commentator tonight.
thoughts. December 11th is coming right around the corner, and we have Dustin Poirier versus I want to say Alexander Gustafsson, but no, it's just name in the back of my head right now.
Oliveira, man,
Charles Oliveira. Yeah, that I cannot wait.
Yeah.
In fact, even maybe not even better, but Max Holloway versus Mexican guy.
It doesn't even matter because it's just Max Holloway.
Yair.
Yeah, Rodriguez. I can't. That is gonna be fun. That's gonna be a good fun. That's gonna be a good fun fight.
Sounds like you're asking to come back on the show for one of those.
Maybe,
December 11th.
maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say
We can do
we're
that.
back
We can
on
do
December
that.
11th. Aaron, your parting thoughts.
My parting
What was a
thoughts,
great
short
UFC
and sweet.
268?
UFC 268, better than UFC 267.
Well, my final thoughts. I think we had two
Dylan.
championship fights that were good, but they weren't as good as last week's. I think the event main card was good, but I think the prelims were better. But overall, a great event. A great event. I mean, for me saying that, and the main card was really good. I think
The
we had a
crowd.
great event. Yeah, the
I think
crowd.
that's something we didn't talk about.
Yeah.
The crowd for the main event
Yeah.
was really good.
Yes, it was. So I think great event. I'm
You
looking
suck.
forward to what comes next. We should have like Envic mentioned some good events coming up. I mean, Max is not a pay-per-view, but it's a worthwhile fight night because I mean it's good to see the champ.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for UFC 268 review. This is the Don't Blink Jiu-Jitsu channel. Please, guys, give us a like and subscription. Click on
Don't
the
blink.
subscribe button if you haven't done so. We're trying to grow the channel. It's a new channel. We have new artwork. We want to get it out there and have more guests. I want to thank Envic for coming on board. We really appreciate these guys who have been watching UFC and MMA for years, coming in and giving their insights, on what we think is UFC 268, one of the best cards of the year. With that, I want to say good night, everyone. Thank you, and we see you next time.